All right, welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of the Going Rogue podcast. So, perfect time for my dryer to go off. But today we are going to sit down with Austin. Austin and I met at the Dublin games this past weekend. So we're going to chat with him and basically do an old school post-game breakdown, kind of his thoughts, my thoughts, and some general rambling and just see kind of where that takes us. It should be fun. Austin's a pretty cool guy. I enjoyed hanging out with him and throwing, as well as the entire crew at Dublin. So thank all of y'all, the ADs, everyone that ran the festival, all of that jazz, everyone that I got to throw alongside and also just kind of share the field with. I appreciate it. To everyone that came up that I hadn't met before. It was super cool getting to meet all of you guys. I appreciate everyone saying that they listen to this because that's weird to me because I'm just a dude sitting at his dining room table in front of a bunch of deerheads talking about a sport where dudes wear skirts. But here we are. Really quick, we're going to do the ad reads. There's one in here that I think is actually really going to interest you guys. They all should. Support all of them. But there's something really cool. First and foremost, the Woodridge Farm Celtic Festival, Highland Games. Registration is still open. Blue Ridge Championship invites have gone out. If you have not replied to those, by the way, hurry up, clock is ticking, because eventually I'll just say, this is everyone that has agreed to be there, and we're going to roll with it. So, we still have several pros that are available to sponsor. You can check our Instagram as people confirm. I'm posting them if you want your company logo on the back of someone throwing in the pro class, as well as custom ad reads, things like that. Banners on the games field, logos on the general shirts, free vendor spaces. Hit us up, go to goingrogue.com, G-O-I-N, rogue.com, and check out the festival page, check out the sponsorship links. It's all right there for you. It should be made pretty easy. One of the pros that is available to sponsor is Spencer Tyler himself. Spencer's going to come up from Texas, spend the weekend with us, and hopefully throw some things really far and really high. Part of why I'm mentioning that, Spencer is going to be offering a clinic around those same days. We are thinking loosely right now the morning before the Woodridge game, since we don't throw until 10, and then possibly the Friday before Woodridge as well, somewhere either at the games field or in the Virginia area. So keep your eyes peeled. We are going to firm up the location details for the day before and things like that, as well as how to get registered, probably before the end of this week. So keep an eye on our socials, things like that, and when registration goes live, go learn from the GOAT. So hope that helps all of you guys out. And if you want to be at Woodridge to attend that, you might as well go ahead and sign up for the game. So go to heavyathlete.com, search for the Woodridge Farm Celtic Festival, and get registered for all those AM classes. Don't forget the top 2 men and women from the Open AMs the year that it happens get qualified automatically as wild cards for the next year's Blue Ridge Championship. So if you want a way to get into the championship and you don't live in one of those states, or you think you can still hang with the big boys, even though you may not be top 2 in your state, come place in the Open AMs. Our pro sponsors that we have on board right now, Strength Agenda. You can go check them out at strengthagenda.com. It is run by Tom Soroka and his team. Fantastic, very knowledgeable people. They even sell an ebook specifically geared at Highland Games training. So you can get with Team Saw and get yourself straight and ready both in the weight room and on the field for Highland Games. Sober Strong, it is premium apparel for the recovery community. It's built with purpose and backed by action. You can check them out at soberstrongapparel.com. So go check those guys out, buy some of their apparel. I've checked it over. It's pretty cool. Definitely support the people that are helping us put this game on. Vet City CrossFit. If you are anywhere near Bowling Green, Kentucky, check out Vet City CrossFit if you ever just need to drop in somewhere and get a workout on. Anvil Strength. Those of you may know Danny was planning on coming to our games this year. He ended up getting injured. It's an unfortunate side of things that happen. But if you're going to go support anyone, Danny's a great human to do it, whether that's just subscribing to the YouTube channel, things like that, liking, commenting, all of that's going to help drive him up. But he's also got a shop where he makes some really cool apparel. You've definitely seen our shirts that he produced for the Woodridge games. So go check that out. I believe he told me the other day he has like 4 of them left. So hit him up if you want to try and snag one of those last ones. And then our flagship sponsor, as well as sponsor of this podcast, Kilted Patriot. Go check out Kilted Patriot at kiltedpatriot.com. It is a fantastic nonprofit. They're trying to drive the athlete experience of the Highland Games. I say it every time, but it's something that I really believe in. It's how I try to run my games. So I was pretty pumped to have them come on board because we're trying to accomplish the same goal. and promote you guys, the athletes and the athletics. So go check them out. But without further ado, here's the episode with Austin. There we go. All right, so we are going to go in here. You know what? I'll do the share screen in a minute, but we'll talk about what we were just talking about. So I already recorded an intro prior to this, so everyone knows that you're who's on today and what we're doing. Hooray. Heavy athletes not leaving.
Yeah.
Everyone has been saying it, and weirdly enough, with their full chest. I had 2 different people at Dublin come up, and then you apparently had a third who I don't need to mention names on the podcast because like I don't want it to be negative to like anyone think that I'm talking crap about them.
Sure.
But I had one person look at me and just with a completely straight face after I said something about heavy athlete go, well, yeah, but heavy athlete's going away. And I was like, I was on a phone call with Mike, the programmer, 3 days ago. Didn't get that impression. And then when I was texting someone else from Dublin about moving the scores over into heavy athlete, she was like, hey, is that sticking around? Because I heard it wasn't. And I was like, nope, still is. And I even, after I got off the phone with her, called Mike again. And I was like, am I losing my mind before I keep correcting people? And he was like, no, it's sticking around. It caught, like, the 99% of the work is done. The website exists. He's like, why would I get rid of it?
Right.
And I will also let everyone know that I have told Mike that if it ever becomes a financial burden, Going Rogue will pay the server cost. Like, whatever few $100s it is a year for him to at least keep the name and all that, I'll pay it. Because I like having a place to do my scores and to do my registration in one place. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
I know some people don't find it user-friendly. There are things that could be improved on it, like with anything in the world. I get it. But the website remains. So this is everyone's disclosure that out of Mike McDougall's mouth 2 days ago, heavy athlete will continue existing.
Which is good, because I think you're right. I think having a place to do primarily as much as you can is super important, especially in our sport. You know, and of course you can criticize almost anything on the planet, so it doesn't really matter. The fact
there is, and I'll be the first to admit there's a learning curve with that website, especially from the AD side. And like, if you're not going to sit down and really learn it, it's going to feel incredibly foreign. I can tell you now, having run registration and scoring for 5 or 6 games off of it, once you do it, like, it becomes old hat. I sat down just on my cell phone after Battlefield last week, and just as events concluded, I input score sheets, and it was live as the event went, and knew everything literally by the end of day. Scores were in. Like, close of business, awards done, scores are in.
Done.
I was out of there.
I feel like the majority of people that I hear have issues are usually ADs, and it's not even that many of them. And this is to no fault of their own. I just sometimes feel like maybe it's because they're not as technically savvy, maybe. So maybe there's, you know, outside things that kind of feed into that a little bit. As an athlete, I don't seem to have user error issues or anything like that.
From the athlete side, it's great. And I think if ADs really sat down and kind of took a step back and looked at it, if your athletes like it, I think it's worth learning. I've told any of the ADs that I know, excuse me, if you're having a problem, like, hit me up. I will try to walk you through it, because I know Mike is a hard guy to get a hold of. I have a more flexible schedule than he does. Like, I'm not a developer for it. I'm not the end-all be-all, but like, I can try to help you out and figure out whatever the problem is that you're having.
Is there a tutorial video?
There's a bunch of them. So most of the things on the website that cause an issue have a little I information button near them, hyperlinked. And you can click it and go. And he's made YouTube videos. He's made podcast episodes. He's put a lot of information out there. What I have found is one of the issue is Mike is very much a programmer, and so he explains things the way a programmer would. And so it's genuinely hard for some people to absorb that. Like, that's just tough. It's a communication breakdown over anything. And I have been blessed with the ability to yap. So
Yeah, I'm glad that they're still obviously going to be operational because it's important to have a place
Hmm.
where the majority of people can go and find accurate information. Maybe that ties into and maybe I'm going on a tangent. I mean, I've heard a lot of mixed information regarding that NASGA 2.0 launch as well,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel like
I
maybe?
I'm excited for it because I think that is going to have. I'm excited for it, and I wish a couple things were different about it. I mean, just like anyone would with anything. That is not a knock. I had those guys on. I'm more excited than I am anything else.
Yeah,
Because I think it's going to be a cleaner looking, more common product looking website than what we've had in the games before, from what I've seen. So that is tremendously exciting. And then what I talked with Mike about, spoiler alert to everyone listening to this week, is I said, like, if you could build a back end, like, would you do that so that scores in heavy athlete will also automatically go to NASGO scores? And Mike said he was open to that. So I'm trying to get in touch with some of the people dealing with that who I'm friends with the majority of people on that team. I consider us all friendly. And I was like, hey, he's down with it. If we could make that happen, then that would be awesome. Because again, I would love for simplicity's sake, because once you get heavy athlete to work and you know what to do, all the athletes sign themselves up, sign waivers, their names automatically go on the score sheets. Like, your payment will automatically go to your Stripe account that you can just move to your bank account at any time. Like, it's honestly pain free once you figure out how to use it. I get that it's hard, but I'm hoping, because one of my only downsides to the new NASGA scores is that I can't run registrations there.
hmm
You know, like, I like the idea of a one-stop shop. That makes my brain happy. Now, if I have to do double the work, I'll do double the work. People pay me to show up at the game. Part of what they're paying for is for their scores to go in. I'm not going to sit here and play I'll put it into 17 different databases games, but
yeah.
I'll make sure it gets into a couple of main ones, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. I feel like connectivity between all these existing and coming programs and technologies, I think, is probably going to be really important because with the lack of a true governing body, I feel like it's going to be really hard to dictate which, like, just a consistent program to be used. So it's good to have a couple, but they need to communicate, I feel like.
yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. So I think it's cool that a lot of people are currently trying. Um, and look, we'll see where it goes. It'll all work out, or it'll all crash and burn. Who knows? Either way, there will still be rocks in fields that we can all go throw. It's just a matter of I like being able to go to a place and see things. I'm a tangible numbers guy. I like that. Um,
I
I
like
like
following the
heavy
data.
athletes. Yeah, I like heavy athletes comparison feature. I like the custom rankings feature. I like all the cool little things that I can now do on there.
hmm
I'm going to try out live scoring, like the actual true live scoring function, for the first time at Woodridge this year, so that I can have that really work out. So instead of just going into the update scores, having it actually broken down first, second, third throws all going in there. That way, there's no, oh, your extra throw didn't get circled, so someone left it off and then it didn't make it into the, like, no, all of your scores in there, done, finished. you know Point totals automatically done. Stuff like that is nice, instead of sitting around at the end of a game, I don't know, when it's pouring down raining, waiting for someone to finish tallying a score, and then you're not sure if it's right or if it's wrong because
Right.
they're tired, you're tired. I'm looking forward to it.
Also, I
But
mean, there's better things to be doing at that time too, like a million other things that you could be doing as an AD or as an athlete. You know what I
dude,
mean?
it was a blessing having Buck at my last game to announce, so I didn't have to be on the mic all day, and I could actually go around and do AD stuff for the full day. It was a game changer. He will be missed at Woodridge this year. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited to be on the mic. I like to talk. I'm gonna have fun with it, but it just means I'm gonna have to do a bunch of work ahead of time to make sure everything will then run smoothly.
I agree. You do like to talk. That was our first in-person introduction this last weekend at Dublin, and you absolutely like to talk. That was one of our first interactions. Was you being kind of smart to me, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna go look through the Dublin photos, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Does Austin look like a large angry baby when he throws?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I look, and then I changed it later to cherub-like because I think that's slightly more accurate than baby. You know?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I've always had a baby face, but yeah, I mean, because when I heard that, I'm like, well, I haven't heard it in such words before, but and then looking back at the photos, I'm thinking, damn it.
He might have been on.
Yeah, damn it. That's why I have this big beard to try to hide that baby face, but apparently it's not doing its job, so I don't know
No,
what
no,
I
no,
mean.
man. I'm very
You know,
detail
bullet
oriented.
beard to try to hide this. Like look everywhere but my face, please.
Nope, nope. I'm locked in there, buddy.
You're
You
not
and
that
me.
quickly. It was like it's like right after my first rep with Braemar, and I'm like, oh, what? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't wait at all. It was immediate.
no introduction either. It's just like, has anybody ever told you you look like a large baby? It's
Hey,
like,
guy I've never met.
yeah, what? It's like, yeah, I guess. Not such. But yeah, this last weekend, man, it was quite the blast. And, you know, I probably should note how all week and even the morning of, uh, all the weather apps and everything were just saying how terrible it was going to be all day long. And we had lucked out, and that wasn't the case. It rained for like an hour and a half, what, at like noon?
Yeah, it was the craziest thing because I was honestly dreading it. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I drove 8 hours up here. I stayed at a campsite. I did all of this just to get rained on all day. Like, I'm gonna show up. It's no fault of the festivals. Like, but oh my God, I was like, Ohio's already not my favorite state. Doesn't have a lot going for it. It's got like two good restaurants and it's got the Dublin Irish Fest.
Yeah.
That's it. And oh my God, I was so depressed thinking, oh, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And then one guy walked by and he's like, no, I looked at the radar like 5 minutes ago. It said it was going to break up. And I looked at mine and it didn't say that. And I was like, ah. And then sure enough, right before the game, it started raining. And I was like, here it is. This is the rest of our day. It's just going to. But then right at game time, weather broke. Everything was chill. We lucked out. And it literally didn't start raining again until my last wob throw.
Yeah.
Like me and Riley, spoiler alert for this recap episode, me and Riley are wrapping up wob and literally on our third attempts at the height we went out at and just opened up and I'm seeing lightning and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to die. I made it through an 8-hour day of throwing. This tower is going to get struck with lightning because I'm the only one left under it. Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think, like I said, we were, everybody's radar was saying something different, and then what it ended up being was super sunny and very pleasant all day.
Yeah.
Very pleasant until about that 8:30 mark, I think, is when you guys were over there, maybe about that time. But yeah, and I was cowering under a tent, pouting like a baby because I missed my third attempt at a very easy height. So, again, spoiler alert.
Yeah, you got to hate it when that happens. Yeah, let's not give the whole thing away. So we'll start. So to give people context, they kept us traditional order all day, which was pretty sweet. I appreciated that. What did you think of the Braemar stone? Of the rock itself?
So the rock itself, I mean, I love this because this reminds me of like some Jim Carrey one-liners, like I've had better, but I've also had worse. So the stone, I mean, I didn't love the stone, but once you found the spot, I feel like it was good in the hand, bad on the neck, and so
Yeah,
once
or
you,
vice versa. You could find one or the other. But
right. So what I ended up doing is I just did a stubborn. It wasn't really even a compromise. It was just stubbornness, really, where I found a good spot on my hand and I just jammed it into my jaw as hard as I could. Yeah, just to make up for it, to have a good grip. But I mean, once you found the grip, it worked fine. I mean, I had a good mark, so I can't complain about that all too much. But when you get a really big, oddly shaped Braemar, it's almost, I don't want to say defeating right away, but it's a challenge before the challenge even starts.
yeah, that was my exact same opinion because when you picked that stone up, you were like, ah, shit. Like, it's kind of triangular and it's got these weird crevices and it feels rough. And you're like, and like you're sitting there feeling it in your hand. You're like, there's no way this is gonna. But the distances weren't horrible with it.
Also uphill.
You know?
So I mean the distances being
I maintain that was pretty flat. I think that hill was negligible.
I'm not saying that we're like, that we were like on a 45, but I mean it was noticeable enough from the trig where I'm like, I wonder if this is going to matter all that much. And it ultimately didn't end up mattering, really.
No.
I think everybody's distances were pretty routine for them, for everybody. I think they all had good marks. But initially, standing in the trig, you're like, man, is this going to play a factor? But the stone, I didn't hate it. Didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I've had a stone or two that I've hated. I will say that stone left a mark on me, though. It definitely shaved some hair off my neck. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't the smoothest stone. But hey, it gave me a little kiss to remember it by.
There you go. So, on to stones that you could potentially hate. The bread loaf of an open stone.
Yeah.
I have never almost thrown my shoulder out in such a way as I did with the warm-up throw that I took on that rock. So, this is a novelty large cup, and it was easily, 4 inches longer than this.
It was.
You would hold it against your hand, and for anyone not watching on video, this is great radio, but, my hand's got to be well over 7 inches probably palmed into my middle finger, and that rock still, I swear to God, had 4 inches left, and you could not figure out. It was narrow, it was kind of triangularly flat, it had a fat side that ran the length of it, and it was a little heavier at one end or the other, but it was so long that you couldn't figure out where to put the heavy in first. You're like, do I put it toward the fingertips? Do I put it more toward the base of my hand? And I took a warm-up throw with it toward the base of my hand, and I felt a pop in my front delt that terrified me. And that has never happened before on a stone throw. It was literally just a little step back and just, all right, let me feel it. And when it came off, I could feel my hand instead of my thumb being down. I felt my hand just involuntarily rotate to vertical, and something about that just rolled my shoulder.
Well, it has to be the weight displacement on such a long stone. And like you had said, if you looked at it, kind of down its barrel, it had kind of this slant to it. So it wasn't this perfectly circular or, it wasn't this perfect shape. It had this round fat end, and it kind of came to a narrow end, but it had a flatter side to it. So there was it
had this thing, and it just
there was no real good way to hang on to it.
I hate it when that happens.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It was tough to figure out. I figured it out on my second throw. The first throw, I didn't have a pop in my shoulder, but my elbow dropped, and I'm gonna have to say it was the weight placement of the stone, and I figured it out on my second rep. And what I did is I turned the stone over, and I had the heavy hand up top to really get a good press. But a funky stone nonetheless. I didn't hate that one either. Really, I've had worse.
Because once again, so what was your distance in Braemar? 37-ish? Does that sound right?
Just sub 36.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sub 36. Yeah, mine was 33, I think, and some change. So again, the distances weren't actually far off. I think I am typically around the 34-foot mark. So being in the high to mid 33s is quote-unquote normal. And then my open stone ended up the same way. My all-time PR is just over 42. So throwing in the mid to upper 38s, very within the margin, Yeah,
I say all that about the open stone, and And I'm not going to be that guy to talk about practice PRs. I don't necessarily love that. But, in practice with stones, I've been, consistently mid-40s. And I've been waiting for one to connect in a games because I'm notoriously underperformer in stones, which is sad with the shot put background. But it's just notoriously bad, or subpar, I guess. And with this stone in particular, I had a PR. And so it was a 42.7, nothing miraculous, but the fact that I finally had a decent one connect in a games kind of felt good, and then of all things on that stone, so I can't hate on that stone, but It'll always hold a special place in my heart for its
Yeah.
odd. Sure. Yeah, there
Yep.
you
And then
go.
here we go. Yeah,
There
so
you
you
go.
should be able to see all this, and our audience will see it too. So this will give us a good reference point to go off of while we're sitting here yapping. And it doesn't have your extras in there yet, so we'll
Okay.
talk about that. But yeah, so let's see. So in Braemar, you threw 37.5, and it looks like
No.
that put you in the lead for that event. It looks like Gabe came in right behind you at 36.6. I wish, because I'm looking, spoiler alert, at heavy athlete. But I got these scores off of Highland Athlete, and Highland Athlete doesn't show you point totals. I made sure they didn't show up on heavy because I didn't know what they were. I didn't want to do the automatic calculation in case people had countbacks, and I didn't want to be inaccurate. But like, I mean, we had the top half of the class from Devon on up. Oh, sorry, I threw 32.11. Let me correct my earlier statement. I did not throw in the 33s, so kind of mid on my part. But like, I mean, over half the field was over 30,
Yeah.
7 out of 12 athletes. And then that's not too bad. And then, yeah, come open stone, I was just shy. I was 39.4, but then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys also go over 40. So far and away, not a bad stone day, I think, for most people.
No, and it should be noted too that like three of the four guys over 40 are like college shot putters.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in Riley, well, I'll tell you, all three of them. Gabe, great stone thrower, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I heard rumor that he was a really good shot putter. Riley, I know, is a very
Mm-hmm.
good shot putter, fresh out of his track season in life. And then Max, also notoriously good thrower for stones.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we
Yeah,
had
and then someone I didn't talk to a lot or know all that much about was Frazier, but I'm assuming based on the way he threw certain things, there's got to be some level of track background there. Because again, we have a 40-foot open stone, a 107 light hammer, but then the typical newer to Highland Games track guy effect, which is a 0 in sheaf and a 0 in wob, and an unturned caber and some average to low weight scores. Like that tends to be what you know.
yeah, no, you're definitely right. And in Frazier's case, I think he left after Caber. So I think those
Did
zeros,
he?
I think
Oh,
so.
that's right, he did.
Yeah.
My bad, Frazier. In my head, he just zeroed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah, that
but
must have
you're
been his
right.
first game because it's still put
Maybe.
everything in his gold. So yeah, if they're all
Yeah.
PRs, it's your first game.
It's that dreaded college thrower, right? It's every
Yeah,
Highland athlete's, every wannabe athlete like myself gets out there and they're like, "Oh yeah, I threw in college," and I go, "Great, there goes my stones," you know.
dude, it's terrible for me because like in a non-collegiate crowd, I'm a good stone thrower. Like if I go to a game without any prior collegiate throwers, dude, I'm top 2 in Braemar and Open all day. But you realize how wide that skill gap is when someone like Riley walks in and he's 6 inches shorter than me. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but he's shorter than me, lighter than me, and then just walks out there and threw a 47 plus open stone.
It was a bomb. It was a bomb.
Yeah, really, really early in his Highland Games career too, because I'd never thrown with you or Riley or Dublin tends to be pretty far out of my territory. So when I go up there, it's usually a lot of newer guys.
Yeah,
But
I'm 3 years in. I don't know if this is Riley's first year, maybe his second year where he's really involved. I'm not sure.
mhm.
But I was teasing him during. I wasn't teasing him. I was just like, man, I hate you. Your extension on stones. He's got such a great finish, and
Yeah,
his finish is immaculate, and his transition from. And the thing is, he told me, I think in Celine, he told me that when he threw shot in college, he would rotate, and he's gliding these stones and still throwing huge bombs.
yeah.
So wait to see if I can't wait to see if he decides to start rotating again because we might see something pretty special.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so that's our recap of stones. Riveting stuff.
Riveting.
Yeah. To give another context before we move on to weights, we were also told at the beginning of the day that Dublin is a very family friendly establishment.
Yeah.
And we got our one warning at the athlete talking, and if Mandy had to come find you later and found out that you were using bad words, you were out of
No.
there.
Done.
Yeah, so we had to get a little creative with the rest of our day, but I can assure you no
That was
such
it.
rules exist on the podcast. So that's great.
I'm not
But
sure I want to repeat some of the things that we said, even though they're technically not cuss words. There's nothing wrong with the words we're using, but it just doesn't sound right off the tongue. So I don't know if I want to repeat them.
yeah,
But they,
I would hesitate.
yeah, they
It's
were
definitely
funny.
more of it was a how it was said, not what was said. But
Exactly. Yeah.
we had to get
We got
creative.
creative. Yeah.
That's all it was. All right, so let's see. Moving on to weights. Again, I mean, all of us that finished inside of the top 5 were over 30 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I love that heavyweight. It's not often I get to throw a shorter, longer chained heavyweight. So I would love to have one to practice with to get a little more, because I just every time I go to Dublin and throw that weight, I feel like I've left more distance on the table.
Yeah.
Like it feels so much better than some of these big blocky ones that you tend to get everywhere else.
Yeah, normally almost everywhere you go, they are big and blocky. Every once in a while, you run across a sphere, but the longer chain, shorter block here, I don't know. Maybe it's psychological, but it seems to fly better. It seems
No,
to.
I maintain that they are for sure flyers. There's no way they aren't. I had not to get ahead of us on lightweight on this, but I had a guy make me a shorter, longer chain 28, and my practices with that are always 2 to 3 feet further than my practices with the longer, more cube shaped 28. That's like more common. So I love having that weight smushed down to the end and flattened out. Like it just, no one will ever convince me it's not superior.
Based on
Like,
my experience with that at Dublin, I'd have to agree. I practice with the bigger, blockier stuff, um, but I am of the mind that when I train, I would rather train with harder, dumber stuff, just to make anything else seem easier or equally as bad.
yeah. Oh, for sure. It definitely, it's better than the inverse. It's better than constantly training with the Cadillac of weights and then getting upset because you went somewhere and it had an average thing. But I would have loved like just 10 reps with that heavyweight like a day or two before the competition to really just like get used to it, because you can just push on it so much more than a normal 56. It feels so good.
That's what I felt in our warm ups with the 56 when we were warming up there. I did a one turn warm up, and on that first push, I was like, "Wow, that felt really smooth." And then
Yeah,
I
it's
took,
so smooth. God.
it felt, and I didn't mind the handle on that one either. And again, I'm not going to jump to lightweight just yet with that, but the heavyweight though, it felt good in the hand, and I don't know. It's just when you can get to that front of the trig and you get to that board, and you have all that real estate to push that weight, and it feels natural and smooth. You feel way more confident in your finish, and you feel like you're able to put maybe that 10% more into it, and it just felt
Yeah.
it felt good in the hand.
Yeah,
I,
it's rare to not feel like you're fighting with a heavyweight, just because it's
Yeah.
such a pain in the ass. But that one just, it doesn't feel like you're fighting it, Like it just feels like it's working with you. It's so much nicer.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose implements who provided them, but I'd be interested to know, so then I could like maybe get one to practice with a time or two, just to have of my own,
Yeah.
just to see like it start tracking that data and see, do I really actually throw farther with these, or is it something psychological? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, either way, if the placebo effect is still in effect, you know.
Yeah.
So, I'm not questioning it. So talking about how things felt, let's give some distances. So you went 34.10 in the heavy, or no, sorry, Riley went 34.10. You went 36.3.5. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Cool. And I ended up at a moderate 30'7". My goal every game this year is 30-60 minimum in the weights. Otherwise, you guys are going to hear something from the parking lot that sounds like a gunshot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be like that. So I was spared another put down moment. So
But I feel
go
like
me.
but that's a solid. Those are solid goals every time, and that's for me. It's not dissimilar to me now, but when I started Highland Games, those were my goals too. Is like I have to be 30 plus, I have to be 60 plus. Those just have to happen. Now
Hmm.
I hold myself to a higher standard that some would argue is like maybe a little too harsh on myself, but I'm not upset at that 36 3.5. I would have liked to have seen another foot or two, to be honest. I was
Hmm.
wondering if I was going to break 40 with that one because of the warm ups and how they felt. But as we started the event, because I felt so confident with that weight, the my first attempt, that drive to the board, I overdrove and I had to like kind of self correct at the front of the trig there, and
Hmm.
I had to pull back. And you actually pointed it out, I think, and
Yeah.
when you're like, "Hey man, you're over driving too far that way." And so then on the second rep, I corrected the issue, and I lost because I think my first throw was like 34 and change, and
Yeah.
then you pointed out the fact that like, "Hey, you're over driving," and I'm like, "You're right. I need to correct that." And then on the
Hmm.
second attempt, I made that correction, but I lost 2 feet because I was trying to kind of fix some footing on the fly. And then my third throw, I just kind of pedaled to the metal and kind of just split the difference, I guess, and I ended up with that.
Hmm.
So I can't hate it, but
Yeah.
when you're making adjustments on the fly,
It's always going to be funky.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I did the exact same thing too. Like I was certain our judge gave it to me. I haven't gone back to watch the video of my throw. I was certain when I went to catch myself on my first I can't remember if it was heavyweight or lightweight, but again, both of the weights felt so nice that I drove so hard. Like I was certain when my left foot came down to catch myself, I felt like it was past the front line of where the toe board was, just off to the left side. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. He didn't call it a foul. It wasn't my best throw of the series either way, so who cares? But I
I
just
remember
ended up,
that. I remember
yeah,
that throw. I was standing out in the field and I watched it and I'm like, man, that was close. And when he gave it to you, I was like, oh, okay, great, he got it. From my position, obviously, being out that far away, there was no way that I could have made a real call anyway. But I remember the throw you're talking about because it was close for sure because I saw
hmm,
more of your foot than maybe I thought that I should have. But Christian did a great job judging all day. He was very fair
yeah,
and it was very consistent. And he did call fouls when they were blatant. It's not like he was just giving everybody everything, but
hmm.
he did
That
a
that was something. Speaking of judging, one, yeah, Christian did a fantastic job. He was a great judge all day
yeah
long. He
all day.
was it. Even like I thought he was being very kind to a lot of people with what he was and wasn't calling, but it was the same across the board. It
Yep.
was it was never one slanted one way or the other. It was just how he was judging. I noticed, and if anyone else thinks I'm crazy, go look at the Dublin scores because some of these groups have a very weirdly high number of flat, even foot number throws. It was kind of confusing me when I was putting them in. There were a couple of groups where I was like, man, there's just a lot of no inches after this. And like not one half-inch measurement across an entire class. It was very strange. I'm trying to remember which class it was now when I was putting them in, but I was like, man, I feel like there's just a lot of flat numbers here. Yeah,
You're
because
like
like
right there. I see.
104, yeah,
Yeah.
105 flat. Let's see if this is the class I was thinking about. 29 flat, 68 foot flat. It really stood out to me that it was odd that there was like not a single half inch in an entire class of six guys, and 80, 105, 104, 63. Like it was really jumping out at me when I was putting them in, and maybe it was because I was going 29 flat. See, it's just it was weirding me out, man.
I
I
don't know,
was
and I'm not gonna throw accusations because I'm not that guy. But
no, and look, it could have been a statistically weird day. Don't get me
sure,
wrong, but it was really
sure.
tripping me out when I was putting them in. I was like, I should be putting in more inches here. Like,
Almost all my throws always end up with a half inch. And very rarely do I run across the judge that will give you quarter inches.
yeah,
They usually give you the half inch, you know,
yeah, I
one way or the other.
yeah, you get especially like being on the other side of things, having put in scores for a lot of games. Like you usually see, there's a fair number of half-inch marks that get put in,
Yep.
and there tends to be a deviation. So it's just weird when things keep ending up a certain way. It just stuck out as strange.
But
That's
like you
all.
said, it could be something that's just statistically highly probable for that day. It very well could have been, or it simply just could be that they were just rounding to the nearest inch, which is I'm not going to hate on that. It maybe it
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know that for sure. That's just
Yeah, if all your 11.5 inch throws and all your flat 0.5 inch throws just got rounded, then look, man, it is what it is.
yeah. If there was an agreement and it was across the board, and if it's across the board, fair is fair.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, it was spread out across multiple athletes, so it doesn't look like it was done to short anyone anywhere. It was just interesting to me. That was a little side tangent there.
Hmm.
But but yeah, we had a really good showing of heavyweight throwers. Again, top five were all over 30 feet, and then we had another one, two, three. Or no, sorry. And once again, so Stephen Robertson was also over 30 feet. I just keep he had a mixed up day, so he ended up further down in the overall, so it doesn't jump out at me as quick.
I feel like
But
too with a lot of games you go to, it's rare that like the majority of the class gets over 30 in the heavy.
yeah, dude, it's one of those things where the last 2 years, and I wasn't sure how much of it was I have been making a point to seek out more competitive games, or if it's just that the skill level is rising. I'm hoping it's that one. Like I'm hoping we're getting to that point now because we went through a real drought of having true A class throwers.
Yeah.
Like there was a period of time where there were only a few of us. Like, and so you ended up with, you went to a game and you knew it was going to be a show between these two guys all day long, and everyone else was just there. It makes it less fun. It makes it less competitive. It kind of deadens the sport, in my opinion. I like, in the last couple of years, like, I have had multiple games. I used to be able to win off of a 13-foot wob all the time. And my wob stayed at a 13 for the longest time because I never had to throw higher than that. I could go to just about any game as long as I hit 13 on my first. Pack it in. We're done. I don't have to. And you're seeing more and more AMs go into that 14, 15, even 16-foot range. You're seeing more and more AMs consistently in that low to mid 30s and in that mid 60-foot weight range, things like that. So it's cool to start watching that come back.
I've seen guys talk about this before where they refer, I mean, you've probably seen it too, they talk about throwflation, and it's like the overall competitiveness is increasing because there's a lot less gatekeeping now, and there's more information being shared, and people are openly sharing these things and showing how they practice, how they train, showing all these things. And I also see kind of growth in the sport where people are wanting to spend time, like myself, where the majority of my spare time goes to training, goes to throwing, goes to lifting, it goes to all these different things. So I can be better, and so people can be better, and I'm seeing that more and more. And that is a great thing because, like you, I like to go and see. I get driven by competition. If I go to games and I know that I'm just going to smoke everybody, I'm not going to perform my best that day. That's just that's not how that works for me. But I know that if I go into a game and there's going to be a lot of good competition and like in a good natured way, that's when the best of me comes out. Typically, 99% of the time. And I'm seeing a lot more. I'm seeing 30s happen a lot more. I've seen more mid 30s this year than I did last year, even with other competitors. And that's an awesome thing for the sport as a whole because, like you'd said, there was kind of this lull not too long ago where you'd see a group of A's and you're like, oh, okay. And I'm not hating on anybody. It's just as a spectator, I feel like there's probably a standard in their mind of what they expect to see when you're watching a class that's labeled men's A or men's elite A or whatever you want to call them. And if there's an expectation and you see it and you're like, oh, okay, because a spectator should never sit back and say, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. So it's been really good. And also, man, it's a hard sport to train for if you aren't competitively motivated.
Yeah.
Like a couple years ago, I for sure, and I'm just now digging myself out of it, ended up in a lull because like there's 9 events, and half the time if you're practicing by yourself, you're gonna short yourself throws and reps and all of that because like it's not the weight room is more fun throughout an entire workout than throwing is if you're by yourself. I can entertain myself with workouts on paper in the weight room well enough. I had a hard time doing that anytime I was solo training for the games and just going out because it's hot, it's miserable, it's humid, and like, no, I'm gonna skip some of my A drills and some of my one turns. I'm just gonna do 10 fulls and I'm gonna get the heck out of here. You know?
You know, I do. I know what you're saying. I I'm going to disagree only for me. For me personally,
Yeah.
I do enjoy training with other people and getting together with other locals here in Mid Michigan, with the Mid Michigan Scottish Athletics. You know, and we go,
Mid again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we go to Shepherd or we go to Midland, and the group, you know, there's a lot of us that go, or there's only some of us that go, and it's just it come and go as you please. I do enjoy going to them, but to be honest, I also love training alone because Highland Games and throwing is like my life discipline. It's how I work through a lot of stress in my life, and it's become a very positive thing for me. Strongman was like that for me too, but I have a throwing background, so when I found Highland Games and discovered that it was something I could actually do, something that's not overseas, something that's local, and something I can partake in, and I fell in love with it, it became like my life discipline. So I enjoy throwing alone because, again, I get to blow that steam and I get to push myself, and I'm always of the mindset that if I can't go out there and push myself and do what needs to be done, then maybe I don't have any business doing it anyway. And then I kind of treat going to those places with other people as kind of like a treat to go and have fun and hear from other people and maybe teach other people something, but mostly just absorb what other people have to say because I'm always trying to pick and learn and choose what works for me, what doesn't work for me. But everyone's different, man. I know guys that absolutely don't train at all on their own. They exclusively train with groups of people, and
Yeah.
they do just fine.
Yeah, and that, to be fair, that's never been what I liked when I felt I was at the peak of my practice, I guess, efficiency. It was once a week with a group and then 2 to 3 times by myself, to be fair. Or maybe
Sure.
with Matt. Matt used to come out when he was still throwing, and I liked having one set of eyes because we would just alternate our throws, and it was good to have someone to give you that feedback, you know?
Yeah,
Because that
I would
is,
say that's one
yeah.
huge thing that's probably the biggest, maybe my only drawback, I guess, practicing alone is you lack the second pair of eyes that can give you real time feedback. So I record every rep of everything I do, and in between the reps, I'm studying what I'm doing. And it would be nice to not have to do that. You know, it'd be nice to just have that feedback immediately while I'm in the trig. And my brother-in-law, Curtis Bell, he does one Highland Games a year. He does Shepherd. It's a local games. He has fun. He's the throws coach for CMU track and field. And so I bounce a lot of stuff off of him, and he'll come out to me, and he gives me that real-time feedback. And whenever he's here and gives me that feedback in real time, I immediately see the result in that. So there's definitely benefit. So anybody listening, who knows if anyone's going to want to listen to me on this podcast, but if anyone's listening, it's absolutely beneficial to practice with people, especially if you're just getting into the sport.
And for me, I loved it not having a throwing background. Like, I can look at tape and I can break down, you know, my sheaf fairly well and my wob and all of that. But, like, stones and even weights, like, weights is not a disc throw. That's not what I'm about to say. But the mechanics are not dissimilar in what you're looking for in a finish, you know? So again, it was always really beneficial for me, if nothing else, in those two events specifically, or even hammer. You know, having people that are of the mindset of knowing how those finishes are supposed to look and what they're looking for. God, that was awesome to have in real time, you know? Because
Yeah,
I'd miss things watching my video back. So
Me too. And even with all my experience, because I coached track and field throws and field events for high school for 11 years. And so I still miss stuff that I do on film. And I watch my film, you know, almost in like an autistic kind of a way where I just nonstop watch myself trying to study what I'm doing and not doing. So much so that you look past some things because you've seen it too many times. And then my brother-in-law, yeah, does he know the weights? Does he know, sheaf? But the thing is he knows throwing mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how the body is supposed to move to create momentum into an implement and how to best move your body to do that. So that insight that he brings is invaluable to me.
Yeah.
And and
Well, like, look
honestly,
at why javelin throwers do so well in the Highland Games.
yeah,
We don't have an event that's similar to javelin, but like if you have learned how to put force into an implement to make it go far,
yeah,
there's some carryover. You know,
yeah.
like
Make weight go far.
yeah, yep,
And then
100%.
you got freaks too that don't need technique at all. They just throw bombs and they're just freaks of nature. Those are rare and far between, but when you see one, you're just like, man, if what I wouldn't give.
Yeah, I quit. But
Hmm.
so let's see. All right, so moving on to lightweight. So we can talk about the handle before we talk about the distances. So had you thrown with a pizza style handle before, or was that new to you?
So I have thrown with pizza style, and I don't mind it at all. With that particular handle, I don't know if that was a women's handle or if that's how it was supposed to be, but it just felt like it was a
I don't
little
think
on the
we're regulated enough to have a women's handle, unfortunately. I don't.
yeah.
I
I don't
think it
know.
just is whatever ends up on the weight.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing is like because I know there really isn't a dictation for one or the other,
Hmm.
but it just you look at it and you're like, how is my fat hand supposed to come out of that thing? And then the diameter of the handle itself was on the smaller end too. So initially I was like, and I don't know if you were standing there when I said it, but I'm like, man, can we swap these handles out maybe
Hmm.
just to give us a better shot? But we couldn't because there was different connections and stuff. We made it work, and by the measurements here, we all had a really good show out,
Yeah.
and it really didn't play that big of a factor, which just goes to show that, being being bougie like me and wanting a handle the way I want it didn't really matter. You just grab the implement and throw it.
Yeah. No, 100%. So let's see. We ended up with Riley went 67 and change. You had a final regular throw of over 72. And I think we were talking before this. I think your extra ended up north of 74. Max went 64. Gabe 66. I went 62.8. I think everyone. That's 2 inches off of my season's best. I think.
Is
I
it?
know I've gone 64 maybe, but I can't remember if that was this year or last year. But like, it. Good days for everyone. I mean, again, half the field, or a little under half the field, was over 60. So
No,
that's
Riley's I
clearly.
think was over. Yeah, I think it was Riley that the 67.7. I think that was over a foot PR for him, and that was
Yeah.
I think that was a one turn because he one turned his heavyweight, and I
Hmm.
think he one turned the light as well. And
Yeah.
then like you'd said the 72.2. I think that was my third throw, and then I took two extras, and my first extra was that 74.1, and I was really satisfied with that. But the crowd was still lingering after Masters had completed their caber runs, and so there was still a bit of a crowd over there. And I'm like, hey, they're still there. They're standing here watching. They're cheering me on. I'm gonna take another. I'll take a fifth throw, and then that one I think ended up being like 71 and change. I'm like, let's call it. Let's call it before it gets any
Hmm.
worse. But we all had a really good show out. There was one guy. Where is he at? Where is he at?
Are you looking for Frazier's? Oh, that's the heavy hammer number. Let's see. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe it was Alex I was thinking of. Alex has such a good approach to the trig, but I feel like he just wasn't satisfied with that number. But I feel like there's nothing wrong with that number. But talk about a guy to talk about a guy to keep your spirits up all day.
He is a
I love
positive fella.
I love
Me and
that guy.
Alex threw together at a my first year getting into the games at like a Highlander event in Kentucky
Okay.
that KO was hosting. And then after that, we didn't throw together at all. But like we would stay in touch online. So this was my first time back and throwing with him in 7 years. So
Okay. I
that was
met
pretty cool.
I met Alex last year in Indianapolis. He was supposed to throw that day, and this is such an Alex thing that I've learned about Alex. This is such an Alex thing. He like the week before had like dropped a tractor on his foot, and so I don't know how he did that, but he did. So he ended up being our judge there. KO was running that one, and we really had a relationship blossom, and it
Hmm.
was really awesome to see him there because I wasn't sure if he was going to make it to Dublin, but talk about a guy to keep your spirits up all day. Almost everything that comes out of his mouth makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's trying to do that or not.
No, I don't know if it's intentional. Where half the things that come out of my mouth just sound incredibly sarcastic. So.
Well, when I first met you, I'm like, this guy's mean. But then as the day went on, I'm like, oh, I like this guy. He's funny.
Yeah, if you just hang around for more than 20 minutes, it'll usually grow on you.
If I had left after that baby comment, I would have sat with him like, that's a mean dude. I don't know why he said that. But as the day went on, I'm like, no. That's just this guy's flavor. I like this guy.
Yeah, if you hang around, you realize it doesn't come from a bad place, and none of it is meant to be rude. And much like judging, everyone can get it, man. It's a level playing field. So it's not meant to be rude. The only things I've ever said that have been mean are serious. If you think I'm being mean to you and I'm smiling and I'm joking, I'm not being mean to you.
Right.
If you think I'm being mean to you and I'm looking you dead in the face and telling you something, that was me actually being rude to you.
Sure.
And that takes a lot for me to get to that point. Like for me to in person in the middle of a day be like, hey, I don't know that it's ever happened at a game.
At no point did I feel that. I was getting to know you, and I'm like, okay, I get, I'm smelling what he's stepping in. I get this now. Okay.
Picking up what you're putting down.
Speaking of lightweight, being 2 inches off. So, were you? What did you think of lightweight? Were you happy with that? Were you happy with the showing we gave?
I liked it. Again, like I feel like one or two more throws, I could have kept improving on that number. Like I didn't hate it at all. Like it felt good. The trig felt good. It wasn't chewed up. Like a couple more throws, I felt like my body felt like I had a mid-60 day in me, Like I felt like that was on the table, and it was the same way I felt in heavy. Like I felt like I had a 33-foot day in the tank. I'm kind of bummed to go out at 30'7". So I liked all of them. And I know I looked like a big goober. If anyone watches the pictures and stuff, I kept my little neoprene thing on all day because one of my biggest issues is my low back getting ticked off halfway through a day. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to wear this neoprene all day long and just keep a little light compression on it regardless of the event and keep it warm. My God, what a game changer. You're never going to catch me without that thing on at a game now.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't take advantage of keeping your muscles warm, especially if you're prone to having like aches and pains or exhaustion partway through a day. And speaking of the lightweight, it's same thing with the heavy that we mentioned. It was a stubby weight on a longer chain. And that, so all the handle BS aside, because who cares? Who cares? We all had a good day. Handle doesn't matter. Throw it or don't. But the feel, though, of that one was probably my favorite feel on a lightweight that I've ever had after my first throw. Just because it felt like I pulled on that sucker for so long before I actually released it. And I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves in relation to that. But
yeah, no, it's that one. So that weight dimension is very similar to the one I had made, where I said every practice if I throw that, it's going 2 or 3 feet further than the block one. And mine has a ring handle on it, so I'm gonna take that to. I've got a backyard game this weekend, and see if they'll let my class throw that one instead of the regular rectangle one. Because like if my body can feel as good this weekend as it did last weekend, like I'm fingers crossed going to be able to like put something really good together with that weight, especially if I can get some extras in. I'm hoping one can fly out there. But speaking of that handle, so the first time I ever threw at Dublin, I had that same feeling. Not as much because of the pizza, but because, like you said, that diameter is so much smaller. But I've taken to monkey pawing my lightweight now and just keeping it in that second knuckle of my fingers. Just because once I started cracking 60 on a regular basis, I was tearing calluses left and right. And that would have probably torn my hand to bits if I had hook gripped it deep in there like I'd been doing. God, that tiny handle would have just degloved me.
Remind me, you just tape up, right?
So yeah, what I do on weights now is I tape my thumb and I just go around. The tape I've got now, I forget what it is, but it sticks really well. So I just do 2 wraps around my thumb so that it covers most of my thumb. That way when I am hook gripping on heavy, my thumb is covered. And then I just tape inside of that first knuckle near the base of each finger. And I call it a day. I'm a big fan of feeling the weight in my hand. Anytime I've worn a glove, I always just feel disconnected from it. And so I feel like that makes me end up gripping the living crap out of it. And then everything ends up just shorting. So I like being able to, when I hook grip, feel that I'm hook gripped in and feel that I'm there. Or if I'm monkey pawing it, just, again, to feel where it's at. I like that nice, snappy feedback,
Yeah, I do. Yeah, when I first started throwing a couple years back, I was taping also. But like you had said, I was tearing calluses left and right. And so I tried to find a happy, because a lot of guys were throwing with mechanics gloves or some crazy thick, leather glove of some kind. I found a happy medium of a goat skin, so it's like a thinner leather, so I can still feel the weight, and I'm not worried about constantly tearing my calluses like that.
I'll wear a deer skin glove in practice now, like especially when I know my hand's getting a little more messed up. I've gotten more used to it. I think if I threw in it now in comp, it wouldn't feel quite as foreign. But yeah, that same thing. Finding a much more supple leather that's a little more tactile has been nice.
To feel it. And like you said, to add on to the diameter of the handle, it like you said, monkey paw. I like that. That's a good way to say that. What I have found that if I get to a games and the weights do have a smaller diameter on the handle, that I am better off doing that just for an actual release, because otherwise
you hang on to it too long. Yeah,
way too long. Yeah.
Yeah, I can even, if I have to on a day, I can do it on heavyweight. I can do it on wob. I've done it before when my thumb has been injured and all that. But I've been lucky that I don't have crap grip strength. It's not. My usual recommendation to people is to learn how to hook grip, just because spinning around with those weights is, typically a little on the dangerous side. So.
Yeah. There's been a couple times in the games where I'll go to finish with the heavyweight, and either the hook grip wasn't set right or I didn't hook grip at all, and it'll fly out of your hand and you go flying the other way out of the trig. And it never ends up well. And so that's why I ended up, like I said, I wear that glove, I tacky up, and I don't know. There were some people that were like, "Who tacked up the ring?" It's like,
that was me. I was asking that. Yeah.
Was that you? Because I'm like, I didn't tacky the ring. I just have hella tacky on my thumb right now.
Yeah, I always it briefly gives me an autism panic moment when I am nice and chalked up and I grab the handle and I go, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you.
It's fine. I just rotate and I grab it somewhere else. It is what it is,
Yeah.
But all right. So yeah, weights went well. So to give everyone a rundown to again not spoil the narrative here, but so at this point it's between you and Riley. So Riley won stones. You took second in stone. It looks like you may have taken. You ate a couple more points in open stone.
Yeah, I took third in Braemar, fourth in open, and because like I said, stones is like notoriously kind of like a chink in the armor. Like I'm not bad, but I'm also not a guaranteed 45 plus in open. You know, so when I get to these larger events, I already know that I'm going to have to scrape, claw, and bleed for my rank, my seat in stones, and then I have to absolutely try to dominate the remainder of the events. But as you know, that ends up being more of a chess game, right? As you go throughout the day. And
that's usually my only hope when I'm throwing against collegiate guys is the last half of the day is caber sheaf wob, and again, only 2/3 of that plan halfway worked out for me at Dublin. But yeah, so you won both weights. Riley won both stones. We went into hammers, which, to be fair to everyone watching, and I've always talked about how friendly the field is for hammers at Dublin. It felt like a smaller mound this year. Like, I'm sure it wasn't, but it just felt like less. In my head, years past, I was like, dude, it's a massive, massive drop. I really don't think it was as big as I was making it out to be in my head.
Yeah,
There is for sure, but it's not a steady downhill. What you get is just it comes off of where you're throwing, it drops, and then it's level again.
right.
You know, or you're unlucky enough to throw it far enough to end up on another hill.
Yeah.
It just comes back up. So, but not a bad day in hammers. Yeah, yeah, or you hit a tree. So you went 95.4 in heavy, which had you win heavy hammer, which looks like a PR for you. So good job. And then, yeah, but Riley again, right, pretty close behind you at 90 feet. Then
And
Frazier,
his 90-footer, I think, was like a 3.5 foot PR. That was a big
yeah,
one.
right. Riley looked like he was having a good day. I mean, half of his thing here is golden. So I don't know if you know this, but like when it's gold on heavy athlete, that's a PR. So we had a lot of PRs for a lot of people across the day. I mean, take it with a grain of salt because it looks like Gabe kind of had all PRs because I don't think Gabe has a lot of games in, and I think the same thing with Frazier and Ryan. But still a lot of PRs for everyone. So yeah, hammers. Did you feel anything? Hammers felt pretty run of the mill to me. Like I had a good hammer day. Don't get me wrong, but the implements were neither great nor terrible. The judging was good. It all just kind of went fine, you know?
Yeah, hammers. As far as how it was running and set up, no complaints at all. I liked the fence and net. I thought that was nice. That was great. Just enough space, and the mound where we were throwing, it wasn't too tore up. It wasn't too bad.
No.
And when it got even remotely questionable, our judge moved up our trig board like a foot to help us out, which was amazing.
Here's point of contention. If I was going to nitpick something, which I'm not, but if I was, move the trig at the end of a full round, not 4 throws in.
I think he did, right? I think
He didn't. Yeah, it would. No, we were only like 4 or 5 throws in, and he moved it because it was getting chewed up.
Oh,
If you were gonna be 100% fair, which look, man, I don't give a damn. I don't think anyone on the day did. But like, if you were gonna do that, wait for that full round to be done. Move the trig.
yeah, I thought he did. I guess I wasn't aware of that, but I mean, no complaints, like you said. Nobody really cared, and I think he even asked, "Does anybody mind if we do this?" And
No, and we
all
were
kinda
still in the first round of throws. So even if you were one of the 4 people that had already taken one, you've got 2 more shots with fresh ground. It's not
right.
the end of the world. Now, like if it was 3rd round and 5 people were left to go and he was going to move it, let's.
I feel like that's probably where somebody would have something to say, and that would probably be me.
Yeah.
No, going into stones. Listen, man, for like the last 6 weeks, and I briefly mentioned it to you when we were on the field. I'm technically healing from an injury, which is a lower abdominal like sports hernia, which is not like a normal hernia. It's just soft tissue tearing in the lower abdominals, and it was from throwing just crazy amounts of reps with hammer, and so every games the last 3 games, Dublin included, I get to hammer and I get a little nervous because I'm like, is this gonna make something worse? Is something gonna happen here? Am I gonna be able to put enough power into this push and finish here? And so going into heavy, my first throw was semi-conservative to see how it felt because, again, I'm trying to play the long game here. And so I threw semi-conservatively. I think it was like an 88 feet, something like that. And I'm like, okay, that didn't bother me all that bad. And then by my second throw, I'm like, I'm going to gas this. I'm putting some mustard on it. And then that's when I threw the 95 and change. And then third throw, I think I was still 93 and change, something like that. So I was very satisfied with that. I had no qualms about the hammer itself. The handle was fine, and everything about it was great. My issue with hammers, this is where it kind of like took a turn for me, like mentally a little bit, was light hammer. I tacked up, and I don't know if you heard me talking to Max about it after it had happened, but we go right into light hammer. I was feeling good. I get in for my rep, and I'm all tacked up. No more tacky than I normally use. I'm gripping the hammer. It feels good, just the right amount. And I do 2 winds for my light hammer, typically because I almost never am able to put more into a third wind. So I just started committing to a 2 until I can really, tangibly say that a third wind is going to be beneficial. And so I cast my first one. I get my second one, and I'm putting some sauce on this throw. Next thing you know, I'm standing there, and the hammer's on the ground next to me, and it hit the cage. And I have absolutely no rhyme or reason why that would have happened, other than did my brain just turn off and I let go? I don't know. Because I had the same amount of tacky on my hands for my second and my third attempts, and my second and third attempts, the hammer wouldn't leave my hand. So I think something happened on that first throw that just mentally threw me for the remaining two, and I definitely sold, and I only, as you see there, I barely 100 feet, and that was mega disappointing for me because I was hoping after hitting a 95, I'm like, I'm shooting for 120 right now. Let's see what we can do, and I just didn't deliver, and honestly, that was kind of the beginning of the downfall for me that day. Not to say that I didn't have a good showing in other events. I did. It's just as far as like points go, that was kind of where it started to kind of not look great for me.
Yeah. So, all right. Now we will continue with the downfall that was Austin Smith's potential win at Dublin, Ohio. No.
I want to be clear though. I want to be clear that Riley earned that win.
100%. And in my head, I hadn't been keeping track of like stones and stuff as closely, just because once I knew I was out of the top three, I just kind of checked out mentally of where people were placing. But like looking at all of that now, Riley won that game. I'm not taking anything from him at all.
Yeah, he hit a day for sure.
Yeah, which I think it honestly, again, I'd love to see the point spread because I'd be willing to bet, like looking at where everyone was. There's no way it was massively gapped, really first through fourth. I don't even want to necessarily put myself in the contention until the last half of the day, for my points. But, like, it was a competitive field, man. Like, everyone was, I mean, because you go, someone threw a 70-plus lay weight. Cool. All right, but all of the next throws are 67, 64, 66, 62, like, those are the days where any one person on a third throw can pop one out there and shake up points. Same thing in the weights, same thing in stones and in sheaf. Like it was just one of those days, And
those are my favorite kinds of competitions, right? Where it's the most exhilarating, keeps me the most focused, and it usually brings out the best in everybody. And my wife, Brew, she's my go-to Highland Games buddy at every games I go to. She's my videographer, so I don't have to worry about fumbling a camera. And she's my gopher, so if I need something back at the tent because I'm fat and stupid and I forget something, she'll run back and get something. But she's also an accountant. She's a numbers person. So she all day was just kind of being like, there's this point differential between this, and this. And it was all negligible, very tiny separation between points between first and third. I think maybe the biggest point gap was maybe 4 points.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. So we get to Caber, which I walked over when they were picking them out, and I helped select it. And I honestly, when I picked it, I was like, I'll turn this Caber. We'll be fine. Spoiler alert, I did not. I mistimed my first one. I got a little showboaty because the pick felt so good. I'm really good at picking Cabers, so at turning them. It really showed. But it was and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, fairly lengthy, but not the longest caber in the world. I think it was 17, 18 feet, maybe, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think it was 17.6, I think.
Yeah, and something like 90, 95-ish pounds, probably, like...
Yeah.
Far from being the heaviest caber I've ever had to deal with. But when you mean zero whip, that caber had zero flexibility to it. It was stiff as a board. It was a cedar tree. And a good size difference from head to tail, like a big, large top end and a good handhold. Small. It was a great stick, and you even had a little bit of a downhill to kind of work with to try and help you get it over. But at the end of the day, the only people that turned it was Max got a 12, Alex got a 3, and Steven got an 11, and that was it out of a field of 12 of us. And you had a few close calls. People had good pulls. The crowd was cheering, and it just It just wasn't going.
I had one that almost broke the plane, but it didn't. And the thing is like the caber I have here at home, I bought from the Alma Highland Festival a couple years ago. So it's a big boy caber. It's like 19.6, and it's like 115 pounds, 120 pounds, something like that. It's a big caber, but it's got a really nice taper, so it's really easy to pick. And so seeing that caber, I'm like, okay, no problem. If I'm always 50-50 on a pick because I don't have super long monkey arms like some people do. And
Yeah.
and so
Dude, if I ever learn to throw, it's over for all of you. This is stupid.
I know. It's pretty beneficial for you for sure. For me, I always get about this far because everyone's like, just take your hands to the ground, and I'm like, shut up, I can't do that unless I spread my feet so far apart. You know, my boys are almost on the grass.
You do the Dennis Reynolds. I can go lower. I can.
Yeah. And I'm not doing that in a games. And so
You should put on some denim shorts under the kilt and just start.
You know what? I don't think people would think I would be wearing them ironically, not with this haircut.
No, they're like, that guy thinks a third term should be allowed. Get him out.
I think I made that joke. Someone was talking about something political. I'm like, do you know how I vote? And it's funny because I don't really like talking politics, and honestly, you would think that, but anyway, in any event, I'm usually like this far from the ground when I pick a caber, so I usually have a really big pick, and I learned on this caber so my first pick. I don't know if you remember when I picked it.
Oh, I remember.
There was
I watched it happen. I went, ooh.
Yeah, because now, do you recall the knot at the bottom of that taper? So when I picked it, that knot broke my hands apart, and so when I went to catch it, I caught it like early, and so it's leaning too far back. And Christian was very adamant that if he said drop it, drop it. And so he called drop, so I dropped it, even though I'm really good at fighting a caber back. And so I dropped it, and then on my second pick, I ran and I stepped into a pothole, and then as soon as I think it was like a 70-degree whatever, and Christian goes,
we'll never know because we did turn no turn. Spoiler alert to everyone. We'll never know.
And I'm biased, so it could have been a 50. I don't know. And so I throw it. It doesn't turn. I go, oh my god! And Christian immediately comes up to me. He goes, dude, you just hit a pothole and about rolled your ankle. I'm like, yeah, I did. Thank you for noticing. Yeah, see? And so on my third one, I chose a different lane, and my pick was fine. It was starting to lean back this far, and I'm like, and I don't know if you heard me say it, I was like, no, Christian, and I pulled it in, and then I ran, and then I thought I had it, and it didn't quite break the plane, and it dropped, and then he goes, Austin, that was impressive. And I'm like, thanks, man. Too bad
I even watched. I don't know if you felt it on your third pick. You hit that knot again. I was watching your hands. Yeah, so you picked it up and it hit the back of your hands going under it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and for me, I don't have. I know they look like big guy hands. I have like
they're not actually that big. Yeah.
No, I have like medium-sized hands. And
I shook your hand and I was like, I thought there'd be more there. You know, I was just really. I thought there'd be more real estate.
I have a wide palm, but I have like normal fingers, and so
same, just on a larger. I mean, I guess they're probably a little longer than yours, but like
they are.
It's this.
Yeah,
like this is where all the magic happens, and then this is fine.
For me, it's the interlocked fingers that cost me because by the time I get down there, I'm like this.
So that's one of the reasons. What I'll usually do when I have time on caber and I had to go pee or something, I didn't have time on this one. I will tape an extra knuckle up on caber. For that same reason, because if my fingers get a little spread, I like having a little more friction there. Because it's not uncommon for me to pick on the way down completely locked up and have to get a little wider when I actually go and catch it.
So I wonder if I'm just stupid then, because I've tried taping my fingers before. Don't. But
wonder no more, buddy.
So I've tried taping my fingers before.
Hey, you know what? You're a real slanted trig. That's what you
That's
are.
the one. You said it. I didn't have to. It's your show. I'm glad you said it. So I love that saying because it sounds so harsh and so mean, and it's not. It has nothing to do with anything. But I tried taping my fingers before, and this was last season because I'm like, I need more friction. I need more tension there because they do get spread as I get to these wider tapered cabers, and or less tapered, I should say. And so I taped it, and as soon as I did, I'd pick and I'd throw. The tape would just slip off my fat, sweaty fingers, and so I'm like, never taping again. And then, so some people have told me to put tacky on there, but again, when it mixes with my sweat, it doesn't work, which is why you saw me chalking up.
I've never been a fan of tacky on cabers, just like I'm not a fan of tacky on weights, and that's just a personal preference, probably. But like, I think you just got to play around because I've had some tapes that I have hated, and I've had some that I love, and I really like the one I have now, and I think it's goat tape. I think is what it's called, and that has been really like it's hard to get off my fingers afterward. I can stretch it enough to get it on there firmly, and I don't have to worry about like rolling down my finger or coming off early. But also when I stretch it, it doesn't. I'm very picky. I don't know how people like actually tape their wrist for shot put because if I restrict my circulation for more than like 15 seconds, I can't feel my hand anymore, and now I can't do anything. So, like, I am notoriously wrapping and unwrapping my wrist through all of stones. But with that tape, I can get it kind of tight, and it doesn't cut off the circulation of my fingers, which is great. So I don't know.
I'm the same. I'm lazy, I guess, and I just use a strongman wrist straps, some Rogue wrist straps with stones. But some of the shot putters I know will tape their wrist at like a medium, kind of like a 75% tightness, you would say, but then they up the forearm. To then create that rigidness for the push. There's a tape that I've been using for my Olympic lifts and stuff. You wrap your thumbs and stuff, and that tape is real sticky and kind of hard to move. So I almost wonder if maybe I should try playing around with that to see if that would help.
I've also had really good luck with the Wadden done because it comes with like a pre-adhesive that you can put on there. And then wrap it, and that's gone well. It's just expensive is like the only hold up for staying on that train. But I like that they're pre-cut. I like that you get extra adhesive to go with the stuff. So in that regard, it's really good. Like if you want to drop the money on having enough of that to get you through, they're great.
Okay.
You said something that made me think, oh yeah, it just to again go off on a tangent. See, I could see how taping and having super rigid works on a shot put because they're a set diameter, right? They're this big all the time.
Yeah.
I have never liked being super rigid in stones just because you do have so many different shaped rocks that sometimes I am able to get a really nice tight tuck, and other times I'm out here. And like if I'm super rigid, I'm just not. No,
I do know. That's why I like that. That's why I like my Rogue wrist strap because you can just adjust based on the stone, and I prefer to have real rigidness. The only time I don't is typically when you have a beast of a Braemar, which the one at Dublin was kind of pushing.
Yeah, it was getting up there. I've got a serious steel wrist wrap that I like won at a game forever ago, and that is my favorite wrist wrap for throwing stones because it's rigid enough to where I can wrench down on it and make it really tight. But the material itself is flexible, so if I need to leave it a little looser, like it's so nice.
Then you got some guys that got like a 10-foot wrist wrap, and they're just over there. You know what I'm talking about?
Dude, I can't throw with my gangster wraps. It's too much. I end up with this stupid like. It's fine on a heavy bench day. It's great. I don't need it for a 16-pound rock.
No. But yeah, with caber though, I'm sure you saw me just put, which should be an illegal amount of chalk on my hands, and that's how I've been getting around the weirdness of the pick for me. So whenever I run across the caber that's got a really nice taper, I get really excited because I know my pick is going to be good, and if I have a good pick, I typically can turn a caber. But honestly, it's 50-50 if the taper isn't all that much. Again, because I have these medium-sized hands. But and that's the thing too.
I hope the record will remember me as a man with large hands.
The amount of Always Sunny quotes that I heard on Saturday, that I said on Saturday, I found my people because it was Arrested Development quotes, Always Sunny quotes, and then there
You
was
didn't think of the
other.
smell, you bitch.
You didn't think of the smell. And actually,
This is not a
there was
starter
another
car.
moment.
This is a car for finishers.
There was there was another moment though. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was during Sheaf where like you were dancing and I started dancing at you, and we were like shaking knees or something, and I
Uh-huh.
like semi rolled my ankle again, and so I'm like I just rolled my ankle, and you're like I'm gonna scream. Like,
We need to leave so I can scream. No, I'm going to do it now.
and it was so funny because the crowd was 5 feet behind us.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my game face. I'm not
Every
gonna
bone in my hand is broken.
Yes.
It's nothing but a bag of bloody soup.
Yeah. No, good times, man. And so Caber, it kind of beat everybody up. Max is historically a really good Caber turner. And
Yeah.
at
That
the
man knows how to
Elma,
handle a stick. Yeah. Can't
he
get
does. That he does.
Yeah.
At Elma, he turned a couple really big ones. Last year and this year, he turned a couple really big ones. And he loves to put on that show because he picks really good. He's got a good run, and his timing's really good. That's something that I still struggle with sometimes is my timing, depending on
Dude,
the length.
even me again going and trying to find more competitive games as the years have gone. Like the stuff I could get away with on smaller games, cabers, like just doesn't cut it when you start seeking out
No.
more competitive games. Like,
That's what I was going to say is that spectators love Caber because it's like culturally the most recognized thing about the Highland Games, right? Everybody loves to watch Caber. As an athlete, I'm pretty meh about it. Only because I'm meh at Caber, depending on the Caber.
crazy
But
how that works.
yeah, but like you said, it's one of those things where you can't really slide on it anymore. A lot of placings, I think, are determinant between first, second, and third. Ultimately, come down to Caber a lot more frequently than it used to, or at least in recent years comparatively. And that's exactly why I bought that monster Caber and I practice with it. But I'll be honest with you, it's one of those things that I should probably be practicing more, but I throw 2 or 3 times a week. It's 9 events, and by the time you get to the end of the week, I'm beat up.
Yeah, standing up a tree is daunting.
It is. And
Yeah.
my poor wife, I'll go, hey, I can go throw this by myself. I can get it up. I can go and put a weight and just walk it up myself. Not a big deal, but it's going to burn a lot of energy. But I said it'd be a lot easier if you come out there and let me walk it up to you instead. And she's a real sweetheart because she's like, 5'4", blonde, and walk. I remember the first time I walked the Caber up to her, it started sliding her and her feet across the ground. And she's like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Stand there, don't move."
You're doing it right now. Keep doing it.
Right? Yeah.
Oh God. All right, so yeah, Caber was a great equalizer. Again, I think a reason why I'd love to see the point totals because there's no way they're all that spread out because a bunch of us ate a ton of points
Yep.
when it came to that event. So then we moved on to Sheaf. Shout out me for having a bag in his truck.
Yeah.
That was nice. I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to go get it repaired now because it got a lot of pulls on her that day. But
That sheaf bag was crisp when you brought it out, and then the poor thing looked like it'd been through a hurricane.
yeah, I was gonna say something terrible. I won't say it.
Yeah, I know what you were gonna say. I wanted to say it too, but let's not.
I don't know
I
if you. We'll confer after this. I'm gonna make a note, and then when the recording's off, I'll see what your joke was compared to mine, and
Okay.
we'll run the numbers.
All
But I don't. I mean, you went 30. I think. Did you have a couple of early misses that kind of built a little suspense in there, or,
No,
or was that somebody else? No. Okay.
No, Riley had some early misses that built some suspense for that, and I think he ended up having a PR there at 26. And no, I came in later, and then because my PR is a 35 with a 16, and I've taken pulls at 36, and just couldn't get the peak to get right. So I really wasn't concerned with sheaf at all. The sheaf is kind of normally my event that I go into, not really sweating at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why I stopped at 30 was because as we looked off into the horizon over the festival, you just saw this monstrous storm coming in with lightning. And I'm thinking, I remember asking Christian, I'm like, Christian, I won, right? And he goes, yeah, with the 30. I'm like, we're done then. Let's go to Wob. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm not.
I've never been more sure, yes.
Yeah, we're done. Let's go to Wob because I don't want to be out here in this torrential downpour or have a delay because of the lightning that I'm seeing, you know. But it was a good event,
Yeah.
and you know, I mean, this is probably the highlight of Sheaf because Sheaf's a fun one to watch. I love putting on a show for Sheaf, and I wish I'd had an opportunity to really put on a show for Sheaf. But again, glad I didn't because that storm
Yeah.
really ruined the day with Sheaf and then everybody for Wob. But the show for Sheaf, at least from the athlete's perspective, was when Gabe absolutely destroyed the standards.
Dude, and tell me about it, because I was after Gabe in the rotation, so I had no misses all the way up to 26. Came in at 20, easy over, 22, easy over, 24, easy over, 26, hit the bar on the way up, knocked it out of the way, missed. And I'm like, shit. And like, I'd been watching, and so far, Riley had a couple misses, Gabe had everyone else hadn't had a flawless sheaf day, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make up some points here. You know? And then he breaks the standard, and we all had to go sit down. And I was like, if this throws me off my game, it's no one's fault. It happens. I was like, but I'm gonna be sad inside. I'm gonna be a sad boy.
You could tell he was immediately full of shame, and that's why I didn't say anything to him. I was just like, I understand how you feel. I'm not gonna say anything. Although I was right where you were, where I'm like, if this ruins it, I don't know what I'm going to say or do. But you could tell he was so upset with himself that thankfully, no one gave him any crap for it. But he threw the sheaf. And so I don't know if you noticed or not, I'm like a unicorn. I'm right-handed, but I throw sheaf also right-handed.
Yeah.
And so
well, you throw it more traditionally left-handed. Yeah, your right hand's on the bag. Yeah.
Right. Mine is, yes. And because if I try to throw traditionally with left hand on the bag, I just don't have the power. I don't know why. I don't know. But Gabe throws the traditional way. He's right-handed, and he was throwing with his left hand on the bag. And it peaked up in such a way that when it dropped, it smacked down on the bar, changed its course, and it came down right onto the rope, and it snapped the cord. At the top, no less. It snapped it at the top. So it's not like something that we could have tied off and fixed at the bottom. It was an entire, had to bring down the standards, reattach.
Run it back through the pulley. Yeah. And then I was over there Aaron and I had talked, and I was trying to supervise to make sure that we had enough rope to run through to where we weren't going to then try and pull a knot through when we got to like 28 or 30 feet and then have this whole problem and have to take the freaking standard down again. It was... Right. Yeah.
And poor Gabe, he felt so awful about it. But and I know a lot of guys were saying, "Oh, this is gonna," like Max. He was like, "This is gonna burn.
This is gonna ruin the tour."
Yeah. he's like, "This is gonna burn an easy 35 minutes." And I'm like, "Well, I hope not, because everybody else is gonna go cold, and I still have pulls to make." And but fortunately, we all came together as a group, and I think it maybe burnt 15 minutes. I think is what it ended up. What it ended up doing. And again, Christian, to save the day, very quick on rounding up people to do what needed to be done. Chance came over, and he was rounding everybody up, and it was a very smooth transition into fixing that cord. So thankfully, that didn't become an ongoing problem for everybody, and we were able to finish the event and have them, still be upright.
100%. Yeah, and then so... I don't know where you ended up coming in, but so then I took my second pull at 26 and easily up and over. And I was like, okay, maybe taking 15 minutes to walk around and fix standards wasn't the worst thing for me.
Well, that's right. You came in and it was, I remember, because Alex did the same thing. Alex was worried because he had a couple misses, and then you both came back, and it was an easy up and over. And I'm like, well, that's actually probably a little bit of a blessing because Alex was getting a little frustrated, and then he ended up being one of the last guys in. Ultimately.
Yeah, my thing was I wasn't frustrated with missing the first time, because I know I've got 26. Like, Sheaf had been feeling really good going into this competition from this week. So I watched it again when I missed 26. And like I said, it hit the front of the bar and pushed the bar, and it was still going up. It just didn't go over. So I was like, I've got 26. Like, I wasn't gassing it on that one. So we're Gucci. Like, I felt like I had a 28-foot plus day in me. And it just ended up, spoiler alert, not being. Went out at 28. Had some good pulls, hit the bottom of the bar, but it just wasn't the day to match the old 28. And it'd be like that sometimes, you know?
It do be like that, and actually
Yeah.
a lot of guys when it got to that, everybody that was in still, other than I think Jake.
Yeah, let's see. We had 3 people just no height. 1, 2, 3 were out before 26. So that's
Yeah.
a total of 6. So half the field was still in at 26.
And then when we got to that 28 mark, there was a lot of guys that were just not peaking right and were punching that bar on the way up. And,
Yeah.
so that was just a matter of field positioning in relation to the standards. You know, and his name is, where's he at here? Right, Steven. So, he came up and he came up and was asking me how I hold my fork, and I hang on to it with like a forward tilt because I'm a vertical block thrower with the fork, and so that puts it in a really nice position to have a very up and down peak point. And
Yeah, same.
and so he came up and he asked that, and I showed him that. He goes, "Okay, I'll give that a shot." He immediately goes out, throws it, and just misses clearing it on the peak by like, I don't know, 3-4 inches. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and he goes, I'm out. I'm like, you asked for advice on your third throw? Why would you? I immediately felt terrible because I'm like, I thought you were on your first attempt here and was going to try something new. But fortunately, he's like, no, man, that worked out in my favor. I know what to do now. And I'm like, if you're happy, I'm fine. But man, I feel kind of guilty on that one.
Yeah, I've always been very proud of the fact that my sheaf throws are 2 steps away from the bar, and that bag falls 2 steps behind the bar. Like, I am not wasting energy, but I have to do the same thing. What I have to do is I have to basically like over grip the sheaf fork a little so that I kind of torque back on it a little, just to make sure I'm getting that travel right. Because I've had days where I throw it up and I mean it lands right behind me.
Yeah.
So.
But that's the most efficient way to throw it without wasting energy.
Yeah.
And when you're a block thrower, because some guys will full
Which
on.
I'm not. I follow through, to be fair, but it's still very up and down, you know. But
it's so great that I get to have this conversation because it's very rare that I can talk this much technicality. Because in my normal everyday life, whether I'm selling real estate or wherever I'm at, and I try to talk shop like this, people are like, okay, what does this mean? Why do I care? And I'm like, you don't. That's fine.
You don't care, and that's okay. But no, I follow through, but fundamentally it's not that different from a block thrower because I've watched a lot of film on this. The bag still leaves my fork at parallel or just above parallel. I just swim through because it's what's comfortable for me. I'm not adding anything more to the bag once it's right here. Like all the work has been done in my backswing and in my rip. Like, this is just because it's comfortable,
For me, it's the same way. I'll block, and then I'll just have a nice little follow-through to allow myself the release without causing injury or whiplash or something. But some guys will pull straight back and then kind of do like they turn around as they throw. And I've never been able to throw well that way or consistently.
No. But you like you had said, you gave away the ending on this one. You went 30, and then we moved on to Wob because pack it in. We've already waited for one thing. We're gonna get this show on the road, and this is where Austin didn't have his favorite event of the day.
Nope.
What are you typically in Wob before we give everything away?
Well, I'm usually pretty good at hitting a 14, and I keep that 15 has been elusive, but it's right there, and it again is a
Yeah.
peaking problem. And it just comes down to the fact that I don't have a standard here at the house yet that I'm able to practice getting that positioning right. So that's kind of that's on me. But so coming in at 12, I'm like, no problem. That'll be a nice warm up throw. 13, I can start gassing it a little bit, hit a 13, and then really start taking some serious pulls at 14 and see where we end up. And for whatever reason, every pull I had, and I don't know, I'm not trying to give away the ending here. I won't. But every pull I had at 13 was just straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down. It had the height, and fortunately, no one beat me up with that statement. But probably because they knew I was pissed off. But like it was just straight up, straight down. And watching back film of it, I'd have like a foot and a half of clearance, and yet it would come down on top of my head basically. So definitely not my best show out for Wob. I don't know if it was because that's when it started to kind of rain a bit.
I would say watch your film. And this is again, if you want to do a technique thing, when I see people doing what you did, and I didn't watch your throws all that closely, but most of the time, especially when you've gone traditional order and it's the end of the day, it's actually a problem with reaching behind you, and you haven't actually created enough arc on that backside to get that sort of circular motion in it. Because what happens is when you shortchange this and you just pull up, it's just up and down.
Yep.
Yeah. And most of the time when I see throwers doing that, it's them not reaching far enough behind them at the high point to actually get that swinging kind of scooping motion out of it. So
I am a thick boy.
Yeah. So reaching behind you might already be a little not in the cards.
As you may know, Jeremy.
Yeah. Some people, I've heard tell baby-like.
Some would say. Not all, but some would say.
Really just one tall jackass in Ohio, but other than that.
Yeah, but I won't fault you. You're not from Ohio, so you got that going for you.
Thank God.
Yeah. So it took all that I had not to make just the most ludicrous Ohio jokes all day. I didn't.
Dude, it's still hard because I do love that game, and I love Mandy.
Yeah.
But God, that state is just a waste of real estate. If I didn't love deer hunting, I'd have nothing redeemable to say about it. At least some big deer get killed in Ohio.
I did not enjoy. My hotel was in Columbus, about 20 minutes away. I absolutely hated driving around the city. Yes, there's lots to do. I'm a country guy. I love the rural area that I'm from. I'm surrounded by lakes, cornfields, and woods. And I love that. And I don't mind going to a city once in a while, and if you're that kind of person that loves the city, busy life, that's great. But for me, it's my kryptonite, and it was just panic-inducing the whole time.
Even the rural sides of Ohio, there's something just non-enjoyable about them. I don't know what it is, but I'd take it or leave. That state could fall off into a lake tomorrow, and I'd be like, oh, well, anyway.
That's good. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I love our Ohio brothers and sisters that throw, but,
Move out of there. What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? When I was, I can't remember what I was going to say exactly, but because
you're fat and can't reach behind you, and then Ohio sucks. That's what we were talking about.
Thank you, Jeremy. AI summary. That's a great AI summary right there. So what I was going to say is, yeah.
So what? Yeah. I could just turn my faucet on and leave it running while I'm explaining it.
My hands are exceptionally large, are they not? Yeah. And
like I was on a rocket ship.
If I
car ran real good.
What if I used to have a pair of rubber hands that I wore for a Halloween costume, and I wish I had them because now would be a great time.
You know what we could do? We could next game we could all take a photo afterward, and I can hold my hands on top of your hands.
That'd be great. Oh, that'd be a good one. So that's what I was saying is that I'm a rotund fella, and so I try to keep my posterior chain and hamstrings really loose because Dublin was actually the first time this year that I've gotten to go traditional order. And so pretty much every other games I've had this year, WOB has been like the third event. So I'm
dude, it'll give you a false confidence on your WOB abilities, man.
It does. It does. And having this be the last event, the final event, after a long day that ended up being very nice and warm, of a lot of effort being put out there. I'm tight on the posterior chain. Hamstrings are tight, and as I said, I'm kind of still
Tight like a tiger.
Tight like a tiger. A bong and a blitz, pipe and a pancake,
Cigar and a crepe.
And having this sports hernia ordeal, there's some tightness in the adductor muscles as well, the groin area. So like all this tightness I'm having all day, and I get to that, and I pull a 12, and it feels fine. And then when I start pulling the 13s, I automatically know, like you said, I'm not getting that full range, and it's going straight up and down. And it's pissing me off because I know I'm stiff, and there's nothing I can do about it at this point.
And pulling harder doesn't fix that problem.
No.
Yeah. You can just throw it higher in front of the bar.
That's exactly what happened. Because, that's exactly what I tried to do. And I know better that pulling harder doesn't fix it. But I'm like, I have to do something. I can't just do nothing.
Yeah. And what you'll see a lot of people who come from the strongman side end up doing is so again, I like how efficient my wob is. My heels are at the bar. Like I don't walk out. I am standing directly under that son of a gun. Same. Which at the end of the day tends to suck, because I don't know if you watched me on 14 trying to find somewhere to stand on one side of the standards, because I was going to try. It's all chewed up with divots because other people have left it out front all day. But it is what it is. And then, what you see a lot of strongmen do, because to compensate for that, is they will walk out, and then you watch, and they can't pull very far, but they end up just doing this crazy hyperextension and putting it all in a jerking, twisting motion in their lower back. No, but using a lot of shoulder too, which is just, for most people, not sustainable. But they're trying to use that to finish that, to actually get something resembling an arc. Yeah,
and there's an old head here in Michigan, JT, great guy, and knows so much, and he's been around the block, and he's an amazing thrower. And if JT starts talking, you start listening. And JT is always giving me advice on my wob, and he has just come many times. He's just told me it's a timing issue for me, because if I'm loose, my drawback is perfectly fine if I'm loose and I'm feeling fine. He says it usually comes down to a timing issue, and I don't know how we've met in person Saturday. I don't know how long we've been following each other on Instagram and stuff.
Not long, I don't think.
So I don't know if you've seen a lot of my stuff or not, but I'm not a weak person, and I was pretty accomplished being a strong guy, and I like to kind of my whole thing in real estate is like I'm the strongest in real estate. That's my thing that I sell is that I'm a strength athlete, and so I take pride in my strength that I've trained really hard for 7-8 years very consistently now. And so I know for a fact that my problems in wob is not from lack of power. It comes down to mechanics. And so I'm still sorting that out, because there's absolutely no rhyme or reason why I'm not pulling 16s or 17s on a regular basis. And I just can't figure out if it's because I'm pulling early, or if it's because I'm dropping too far and trying to pull out of a hole, or if I'm hinging more than I am putting leg, or I just don't know. I'm still playing with things. I'm actually tomorrow, one of the things I'm doing, because I have a games this Saturday also in Sparta where I'll see Riley again. Tomorrow I'm playing around with wob again and trying to sort that out, because that's another event that Riley's actually has gotten really good at. The last, I think, 2 games, he's gotten really close. He cleared 15 once about a month ago, and then ever since then he's been he's either been clearing it or leaving it out front, but very much having the clearance.
Yeah, and what I would bet here, well, to summarize, I made 14, I missed 15, I had some good pulls at it. There, we finished our Dublin recap.
Is that your PR, 15? Is
15? 14.6 is my PR. I hit that at Maine last year. I've hit 14 a pretty handful of times, but those were my best pulls at 15, because I was into the bottom of the bar a couple of times. Like, I was pretty stoked about that. I think a slightly different day and I'd have had it, Yeah. So we'll see. But I
welcome you to see anything that you see of me, any critique that you see that's worth hearing. Please share it, because I'm not above criticism.
No, and that's fine. I'll watch some of your stuff, but I think where people get it twisted is you hear a lot of people say that like height matters on wob, and they're right, but for the wrong reasons, right? So height matters on wob because I have more room to drop my hips and to scoop into the weight and use my legs in a pull. It's not because, oh, you're 6'4", you're halfway there. That's not the reason. The reason is because I have more room to work. And I think that you can have a guy like Riley who probably 5'11", maybe 6 feet,
Yeah,
give or take.
I think it was Salim when we met. He asked me that, and me and Riley are both 5'11 and a half.
Yeah, exactly, right. So like, but if you look at your levers versus Riley's levers, Riley has a longer build, even though he's that same height, where yours is more of a rectangular build, and that hip structure and just where everything falls, I think is just less conducive to being able to get more leg drive out of your wob. You know,
Yeah,
like
that makes so much sense, and that makes sense logically as a thrower. And then for me, the coach in me in my head is like, so how do I use that information? Is it an adjustment to try to play into my mechanical advantage, or is that going to just create a bigger discrepancy on the field when it matters?
So my brain thought, as far as how that would work, and this is not good podcast material because it's only for you, but maybe someone out there is shaped like you, is you can probably only milk but so much out of the reaching back. What you could try to do is slow that down. Again, to go back to timing, kind of like what you're saying that your old head in that area is telling you. And to get the most out of that scoop, you'd have to almost let it linger extra long at the high point back there, which is going to be more hinge because your drop is going to just be shorter. Like, so I'd want to see you.
That's a lot of what he says. He says he says a lot of the same thing where it's let it
Where
linger.
like I have a very long arms. I mean, I have monkey arms without a doubt. My wingspan is in excess of my height. I am a plus on the ape scale, right? So my body only has to come about that far down for my arms to be able to reach a significant distance behind me, and for me to then be able to drop into it. If you're shorter, I would think you're going to have to get much closer to a horizontal to try and accomplish this behind you motion to then be able to scoop it out of there, is my thought.
Nose to ground, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something,
You know?
it's a work in progress, and that's the beauty of it. And you kind of alluded to it at the beginning of the podcast where it's like, we're trying to be proficient and perfect as we can in 9 events. In 9 events. And that takes, you can never.
It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Spencer Tyler's been the only person to ever truly max across the board at any one given time,
That's
and maybe John Van Buren,
He's a special genetic creature, that guy.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Hey, he's going to be at Woodridge and hosting a clinic if you feel like taking a trip to Virginia next month. So that
I will be
that
in
little
Virginia, September 6th. I'll be there.
well, to hang around for 2 more weeks and throw.
Sure.
But yeah, so I would think get more horizontal, but then you're going to have to be able to bend your knees to drop in while you're still horizontal. I think that's going to allow you to accomplish that same thing of having more time in the back. Because if you get horizontal, but then you start to come up as your knees are bending, you're eating up that real estate too soon because you don't have it.
And that's where the timing issue comes in. Is I have the ability to go horizontal and drop my hips, but that's you're saying the same thing, JT. The old head here is that the timing is off just a bit there on that. And I don't know if it's because I'm just rushing it in my head because it feels wrong, right?
Yeah.
When you're reaching back and you're just letting that take its time and letting the weight drop itself, like it feels wrong. It doesn't feel like that's the natural progression of the throw.
Yeah.
A lot of people, as you've seen and I see, when they get introduced to the wob, they're just yanking on that sucker the whole time. And it usually goes outward and maybe upward. But yeah, wob is one of those things. Wob's stones is always a fight for me, but it's not the worst event. But wob is arguably my worst event. And there's no rhyme or reason why I shouldn't be 16 or 17 feet. I know the power's in there. I just I've yet to perfect my body mechanics, because that's another thing that JT will tell you is that everybody's built differently. I'm sure you agree with this. Everybody's built differently. There is a standard to follow, but there's enough deviation from person to person that it doesn't always exactly apply to each person, and that is the responsibility of that athlete, if they're serious about it, to really see how it applies to their mechanical build. You know?
Yeah. What is the position they're hitting, and how can you accomplish the position, but you may have to take a different road to get there? Because for your wob, it's to accomplish a position where eventually your low point is between your midfoot and your toe, and you're starting to get vertical. But how are you going to accomplish getting to that point with enough time to start forcing the implement? And it's going to be harder, you know?
Yeah.
It is.
It's just going to take some real work, is all. And I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of a good time, you know?
Yeah, which is where if someone's longer limbed, like for me to get into, you know, it's essentially the same position as the bottom of a snatch. I'd have an easier time than some people would. I'm tall, but my legs are relatively short for my height, and I've got long arms. So getting my hips low while keeping a tall chest is not a monumental task. You know?
You can generate power a lot more efficiently in that position, for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it be what it be. But hey, we have now yapped for almost 2 hours, buddy.
I told you, I'm a talker.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. So yeah, that was the Dublin recap for anyone that cared. Congrats to Riley for winning it. Again, he pulled one out. So if we'll give the full rundown. So Riley first, you second, Max Mays fourth, Max Mays third, Gabe fourth, me fifth, then Devin 6, Jake 7, Alex 8, Steven 9, Frazier 10, Andrew 11th, and then Ryan 12th. So there's the full rundown. If anybody cares, go check them out. They're on Highland Athlete, all that.
It was a great day, and honestly, I look forward to having an opportunity to go back next year and having a shot at redemption, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you coming on and palling around with me for a little bit, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad we finally got to chum it up there Saturday. You're a good dude. Even though I thought you were really mean at first. You're a good dude.
That's usually the track everyone takes.
Yeah. No, you're a good